Greetings, Light Tribe. Janine Palmer here, Spirit Silver Moon, for Harmony Energy Healing. Today I'm going to do another little session of Oracles of Incense. So I pulled a few cards earlier and I thought that they would be good ones to share in a video. Got a candle going here. A little 3-wick candle going here. And I'm going to light some copal incense. Setting our intention for whatever we might get from the message of these cards and for what we might want to release on the smoke. Okay, so the first deck is by Denise Lynn, Sacred Traveler. This is a little guidebook. And the card that I pulled is Choosing Your Path. All is possible. These books are small, print small, reading glasses, so I don't stumble over what I'm not reading properly. Card meaning. New vistas are ahead and you have the power to choose. And within this is your freedom. Do not allow the restrictions and limitations placed on you by the expectations of others deter your path. Be daring. Cast aside conventions and restrictions. Dance, laugh, explore. Go beyond your predictable behavior. Say yes to life. You support others in stepping into their freedom. Okay, Sacred Traveler wants you to know. Choose life on your terms. Move beyond those situations that you've outgrown. Sometimes to be free, the traveler needs to put down his pack and just keep walking. There are times to even with the glasses on, there are times to live an ordinary life, but there are also times to cast ordinary things aside and fling your arms to the heavens in joy. You are not on the planet to always meet the needs and expectations of others. And how true is that statement? You're here to explore, expand, and step into your extraordinary self. Don't unconditionally accept the rules you have placed on yourself or that others have placed on you. Choose pathways that lead to greater freedom and happiness. Okay, so I want to pipe in on that last part of that, because even if you study the Gnostic Gospels, the teachings of Jesus that aren't included in the what we know as the New Testament, he says something like that about be careful, like to not laying down laws for yourself that you'll then have to adhere to. So we do all choose our own path, consciously or unconsciously. We choose a path actually before we come here. We don't remember. And then we choose a path daily through our experiences, okay? The wisdom and the knowledge gained from them through pain and suffering or our perception of that. We choose our path by our choices, our decisions, our actions, and our reactions. Okay, so we might not realize that we're creating that reality, because some people just really would like to blame everything on someone else, which means they're in a victim mentality. They're not taking responsibility. They're not getting unstuck. They're really not learning. They're not open to learning because they're in resistance. Sometimes we don't recognize when we're in resistance, but when we do, and then we can start being proactive to take the steps of moving out of that, that can be very helpful. So I have two other cards that I pulled, and this is from Kyle Gray, Keepers of the Light Oracle deck. A friend gave me this. It's a really good deck. And I pulled two from this one. Okay. My cat's having a mad half hour running back and forth. I don't know if you can hear the pitter-patter of her racing little feet. And I have woodpeckers pecking on the side of my house, so it's very interesting with all the background noise here, so sorry about that. Am I going to pronounce this name right? Avatar Babaji, sorry. Soul expansion. Your consciousness is expanding. You understand the connections between all things. And I'm going to put these on again just so I can more clearly see and understand and reflect on what it says here. Okay. Avatar means great incarnation or avatar, and Babaji means sacred father. Babaji is a deeply respected master yogi who was introduced to the world through the teachings of the Indian yogi Paramahansa Yogananda. Babaji, as he is called for short, is said to be over 2,000 years old and able to travel between Earth and other worlds. He is said to have an invisible temple in the Himalayas that can appear to those who want to connect. He wants to connect with. Many believe that he is like Christ himself, bringing deep love, acceptance, forgiveness, insight, and direction. And that is what this earth journey is all about, no matter who directs you to it. Extended message. You may feel that you've retreated from the world recently. Maybe you've not been as active socially or spiritually, but this time of inner rest has really paid off, and you are becoming more and more consciously aware of how to connect, of how connected you are to God and all living beings. This sense of union is called yoga. Yoga goes beyond physical ability and into a sense of awareness that's created through spiritual practice, meditation, and devotion to the divine. Whatever the divine is, that's different things to different people as they're opening and unfolding. Babaji, the yogic father, is here to inspire that fire of union within you so that you can understand how your thoughts and actions are creating the waves of energy that form your life, as we were just talking about with that other card. So I want to talk about yoga a little bit, how some people say yoga is, well, it's many things, but, you know, when we do something that we love, that we're deeply inspired by, that's our calling, that's a type of yoga. So to be aware of what we're called to and why, and then what we are going to create with it. How are we going to take something that we've experienced, that we've been through, that we've survived, where we've gained knowledge and wisdom, where we've overcome suffering, sadness, pain, grief, whatever it is, whatever we perceived it to be. How do we transmute that? How do we turn that lower stuff into gold, into something higher? And that's for each person to determine. And it's good when you become more aware of this path and that is happening and how it's happening, and to journal it, to really write down what's happening, how you understand it, and what do you do with it. So some people might engage in conversation. They might be supportive or support systems to people who are going through something similar. So we can be helpful to people in that regard. Some people do writings, make videos, whatever it is that they do to actively engage with others for the greater good, for helping the collective, because as they're doing their healing work, then they can reach out and also help to heal the collective. And what I mean by that is we can help people to learn to heal themselves. So that's, I guess, suppose enough for that one. And then the other card I pulled is White Eagle, who is an ascended master guide, an amazing guide, one of my guides. A lot of honor and respect here for this being, this energy, and how he works through people, for the collective, for the greater good. And that will be understood by different people in different ways, on different levels. Some people might not be open to it at all, and other people might get it big time. And so it's all individual journeys. So for White Eagle, it says connect to your lineage. A family wound or pattern can be healed now. And I do shamanic work. I'm a shamanic practitioner. I do shamanic journey work for myself and others. And there's a lot of ancestral healing that needs to be done. So that's what I get from this card when I read that, but I'll read what the book says. White Eagle is a Native American shaman who is dedicated to honoring our spiritual heritage. He is a world-renowned spiritual guide who has been particularly cherished by members of all over the world. He first spoke through a medium called Grace Cook in the early 20th century. He is the guide who helps create clear channels in our bloodline and our spiritual lineage so we can access the heart of the Creator. He also helps us move into sacred ceremony where we can hold sacred space to honor a change, transition, celebration, or anything else that deserves time. He is wonderful for clearing space, and we can call on him for help in forging spiritual connections. And before I read the extended part of the message, for people who really do get into meditation for healing, for guidance, for a deeper understanding, this is when you can work with angels, ancestors, guides, okay? People work with power animals. There are many masters, okay, that you can call on to work with if and when you're ready. The extended message on this is take some time to honor just how far you have come, recognizing through ceremony and ritual the shifts in your awareness, healing, and journey really allows you to move into a state, into a state of grace and gratitude. Huge grace and gratitude. You have or have recently had an opportunity to heal an old family wound or pattern. It's important to connect with your family and spirit so that you can set a new energy of love in place. White Eagle is bringing your ancestors through to you and allowing you to know that they're happy and well. He is sounding his sacred drums to clear your spirit. Drums and rattles, very helpful. Sound healing, very helpful, very powerful. Okay. Ancestral healing. So things get passed down generationally. So in our physical DNA, there's stuff that comes down through that to us that needs to be healed. And then we also have our spiritual DNA, which is something different because our spirit, soul, have been, okay, in other experiences, other bloodlines, other time periods, other places, blah, 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 however deep you want to get with that. Some people aren't open to it. Some people get it. Some people are interested. This is for the people who are interested. If you're not interested, just disregard it because it's just not time, obviously. So a lot of people come from cultures where there have been horrific atrocities that have happened all over the world throughout time and history, okay? And they're carrying the burdens of the ancestors. They're carrying the pain, they're carrying the hatred, and they're carrying the anger. Now, if the ancestors have crossed over, they're not in a place of carrying that. But if they're in between, they might still be there suffering. And if we hold on to that and feed that suffering, we're probably not helping the ancestors. I've done talks and writings about this before. This is a limited perspective. So when we can break a pattern, when we can engage in the incredible power of forgiveness, call on Archangel Zadkiel, when we can engage in that, amazing things can happen because we're shutting down programs, because we're breaking patterns and habits that no longer serve. Okay? People come here to have experiences to learn or for the greater good, for the collective to learn is what I mean. So like stuff happens either extremely horribly nasty or is perceived that way because on higher levels, it's known why stuff happened. Down here, we don't know. So we react from a place of pain. Okay, so when we try to move beyond the misunderstanding, because that suffering comes from not understanding. Okay, and when we want to keep blaming and keep feeding the negativity with more negativity, it's the loop, and it doesn't necessarily serve us. It serves to keep us stuck in suffering. So when we can break out of those patterns, so when you can visit a thing, however painful, you can visit those ancestors, you can talk to the ancestors, you can, you're looking at a situation that you don't have all the pieces to the puzzle, okay? So when you can acknowledge that things happened for reasons you don't understand, and you want to send healing through love, through compassion, through grace, through forgiveness, through letting go, powerful, powerful stuff. It takes a mighty warrior to be able to do that. because for some people it's easier to hold on to the pain. Okay, so in healing these ancestral things requires a shift. So traumatic things happen to shift things, or for what we're going to learn from them. No matter how much later we get something from it, we learn from it. It is about what we learn from it and what we do with it. Okay, what we do with it. Do we just carry it around like a dead horse and drag it behind us throughout life and drinking and trying to numb and lashing out and creating more shit that needs to be healed? Or do we become that warrior that has to go deep, 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 deep within to find that strength that we need, that truth, that knowledge, that power that we need that is in us to be able to overcome? And that also includes overcoming our thought forms, our thought loops about things, our programming about things, our stuckness. Okay, a shift has to happen to change perspective. And usually when we're not learning something, life's going to hit us harder and harder and harder until we finally pull our heads out and begin to actually learn and to let go. Because when we can free ourselves from it on some level, we're doing that ancestral healing. We're freeing them from something. We're doing the work for them. But do we want to keep them stuck in the suffering that created that suffering? No, hopefully not. Anyway, so that's just a little bit of my limited perspective to date on that subject. And it's for each individual to figure out what they want to do with it, if anything. These are individual journeys. But if you do the meditation work, it's a good idea to journal it. And you can look back on it and reflect and kind of see how your feelings and perspectives change as you do the healing work. Because as you heal yourself, you help to heal the collective. And we all have this work to do here. Peace.